The senators knew that they had to take matters into their own hands. They were tired of hoping things would get better. Caesar was a bully, and they knew if they spoke up, they'd just end up in jail or maybe murder. That's kind of bad too. So, a group of 60 people started coming up with an idea. First, oh my God, it's like, so you guys have seen Mean Girls, and you know when they come up with that little list on the chalkboard of how they're gonna take down Regina George, AKA Caesar. Get rid of Senator Friends. Number 2, expose the hairline. And number 3, break up his army of skanks, AKA his bodyguards. This would be the formula to take Caesar down. First, they need to get Caesar alone, which was not an easy thing to do. On the streets, he traveled with an entourage of soldiers. They were essentially bodyguards, his army of skanks. So the senators, the ones who want to take him down, they're going out of their way to make Caesar feel like, you know, we're the good guys. We're on your side. We love you, Caesar. You're the man. Great. They agree with everything he's saying. They keep it light. They're like, we freaking love pizza. That's such a good idea, man. Around February 44 BC, Caesar is approached by a soothsayer that he had on his staff. This soothsayer was known for predicting the future. Not just interpreting his dreams. So let's say this soothsayer comes up to you, has information, you're gonna listen. Okay, this man's a wizard. He knows his shit. So the soothsayer, he sits Caesar down and gives him a warning. He says, beware the Ides of March. Do what you will with that. I take cash, PayPal, Zelle. So, Ides essentially means the middle of March. Beware the middle of March. Vague, but okay. The soothsayer was basically implying that the government was about to turn on him soon. Middle of March, maybe. I don't know. But here's the thing. Caesar, narcissist, okay? He had gotten so many wins, and everyone was being very nice to his face. He could have anyone he wanted. So he doesn't necessarily believe the soothsayer. He's like, okay, man, noted. Caesar can't even comprehend the idea of someone potentially setting him up. For the next month or so, Caesar goes about his business as per usual. And then in March 15th, is that the middle of March? It is. March 15th, 44 BC. Caesar shows up to a scheduled meeting with the Senate. Right away after Caesar arrived alone, the senators were stoked. Because up until this point, it had been impossible to get Caesar by himself. So he shows up by himself and they're like, oh, fuck yeah. So they immediately circle him, ring around the rosy kind of situation. And they start peppering him with all these distracting questions, talking over one another, confusing him. It's like, what is going on? Some of them even started kissing his hand. At first, Caesar doesn't think it's really that weird. He's like, yeah, I'm amazing, I know. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I know. Probably thinking to himself, they're so obsessed with me. This is crazy, but I understand because I'm amazing. But then, one of the senators does something odd. He pulls Caesar's toga off his shoulder. I would, but this is too small, so I could barely get it on. I ripped it. Oh man, I squeeze into this, but I would do it. So, pulls the toga off his shoulder. And it was like, okay, try and grab my titty or something. But little did Caesar know, this was a signal the senators had agreed on. So once someone pulled off the toga thing, that was the green light, okay? Then one of the senators, a man named Casca, pulls out a dagger from his shirt and stabs Caesar right in the back. Caesar is shocked. He literally can't wrap his mind around what's happening right now. Before he can escape, get away, he's stabbed again. And then again. And then before you know it, the senators are taking turns stabbing him all over his body. Caesar fights back, but it was 20 against 1. He really didn't stand a chance, okay? Even though he had been stabbed over 20 times, Caesar fought until the end. So then, a politician named Brutus takes a dagger and hears the words, "Finish him," and raises his arm and takes the final stab. And this, I don't know if you, this is where we get that famous line, "Et tu, Brute?" Betrayal. This translates to, "You too, Brutus?" Now, when you think about this, it's an iconic moment. Whether it's true or not, he literally didn't say this. It actually came from a Shakespeare play about Caesar, but we all believe it to be true because it makes for a good story. Because Brutus allegedly was like really close to Caesar, and when he said, "Et tu, Brute," it was like this ultimate betrayal, like, you, my friend, my buddy, you? Oh, it's beautiful. Realistically, that's not what he said when he was being stabbed. He was probably like, "Fuck you!" Or, like, "You piece of shit!" And this is where we get the famous last line from Caesar. He looks up and he says, "Pizza, pizza." And that's where Little Caesar's pizza comes from. I'm just kidding. So Caesar eventually covers his head with a toga. He fell to the ground and he bled out at the foot of a statue of his enemy, Pompey. Tragic. Is it? I don't know. Because he didn't really seem like that great of a guy. But people love him. Whatever. So even though senators were thrilled this worked, they're like, "Yay, we murdered someone, high five." His murder actually led to a lot of rioting and public outcry because they loved the guy. They weren't seeing what was happening behind the scenes, So they're rioting, there's public outcry, but as life goes, the people eventually got over it. They're like, "Caesar who?" But the legend of Julius Caesar lives on. He was an expert at taking risks at the right time, and even though he didn't always succeed, he never let it get in the way of his ambition or confidence. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because it's like sometimes, like, chill the fuck out, okay? You don't need to kill all these people. My God, is that ambition? Murder is ambition? I don't know, but okay. And to this day, people still wonder, did Caesar deserve to die? Is this where the origin story of the great betrayal, backstabbing comes from,